Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Itrola again, just here to talk to you about the second part of your AP government exam, which is your argument essay. This one makes up 60% of the exam, and to write it, you'll have 25 minutes. Okay, so honestly, the argument essay is something that you've been working on since forever. It's also been referred to as a persuasive essay or an argumentative essay. Either way, it's the same thing. The whole point is that whatever the topic is, you are the smartest person in the room about that topic. So your job is to be the boss, and you have to write in an active voice, which means you leave behind your urge to say things like I believe or I think or it might be a good idea. You have to be very strong, very bossy, very assertive. So your use of facts from things that you've learned in class and the documents that you're going to be looking at are going to prove your superior point of view on the given prompt. Now, one thing that's really important to know, because I know since you have been working on persuasive essays since you were little, this is going to be a little bit different. You have 25 minutes to write it. This is a snapshot of your skill. It is not your time to write anything super flowery and beautiful. Your job is to show what you have learned in your AP government class and pull those facts and support your ideas. So as we go through this slideshow, that's going to be the main thing that we're focusing on today. All right, before I move any further in this presentation, I do want to draw your attention to the fact that because this is an at-home exam, AP is fully aware of the fact that you will have notes available to use during your response, which is totally fine. I actually encourage you to create outlines of the documents so you're ready to go and you can pull some little snippets here and there to support your arguments. However, you must make sure that these outlines are your own, that everything that you write, everything that you use is your own information, because if you were to work with a partner or a group of students in your class and you all create the same outline and you use that and you use the language that you put together in that outline, they're going to find that it's going to be flagged as congruent or similar language, and it's going to be flagged as a plagiarized response. And you can take a look at this screen, you can pause your screen and see everything that'll happen if they find that you have been cheating on the exam or plagiarizing your response. So you need to make sure that anything and everything that you use is all your own. Okay, so now back to the good stuff. How is it going to be scored? You can earn 0 to 7 points on this response. So there's a flow chart here. I did get this from the AP Live crew. So I have my citation at the end of the presentation to show, but thank you to the AP Live teachers that put all of this together. This is a flow chart that's going to show you how it's going to be scored. And I know that you might be confused looking at some of the little letters and stuff, and don't worry, I'm going to break it down for you very shortly. Okay, so what are A, B1, B2, B3, B4, C1, and C2? This was something at first glance I had to write some stuff down and kind of really straighten it out. And we will put this point acquisition flowchart in your resources in Google Classroom. But here's what they're looking for. So your thesis statement is A. That will earn you 3 points. If you have a logical claim that provides reasoning, you're going to get 3 points out the gate. Okay. B1 is going to refer to your required evidence. You're going to have a document that will be required in the prompt. Okay. So each AP prompt is going to give you like 3 documents that you can choose from. You must choose one. So that'll be your B1. So you're going to think of that as a statement that you make about the required document. Now B2, according to this chart provided by AP, is your additional evidence. So the prompt is going to ask you to address a second document of your choice or course content. So think of this as a statement you make about your chosen document or course content. Now there will be 3 options. You must use one. You can absolutely use one of the other 2 as your second choice. Or if you feel there's another document or something that you've learned in class that's better, you can use that as well. This is where it can be kind of confusing, so you might need to write it down on paper to clarify it. But the B3 is going to be a continuation of B1. So that's the evidence from the required document that supports your thesis statement or claim. So B1 is the statement, B3 is the evidence from that document that supports your statement. B4 is the continuation of B2. So that's the evidence from your chosen document or course content that supports your thesis statement or claim. Now, the other part that gets you that extra 1 or 2 points is going to be your reasoning that explains the how or the why. So C1 is going to be the reasoning that explains the how or why your evidence or facts from the required document support your claim. And the C1 goes with B1 and B3. And then the C2 is the reasoning that explains how or why your evidence and facts from your additional document or course content support your claim. Okay, always you're answering why these things are important by saying because. This will make more sense as we move forward. Okay, the best format to take is going to be 3 paragraphs, okay? Now remember, you have 25 minutes to write this, to plan and write. If you find that you're done in 10 minutes, you definitely didn't do it right. So make sure that you're thinking as you go through. So paragraph 1 can be nothing but your thesis statement or claim, okay? That's going to be just a couple of sentences. Paragraph 2 is going to be your point B1 and B3. So that's your first statement about the required document, your facts from the required document that support that statement, and then your reasoning for why or how that information is pertinent and important to support your point. And it all goes back to the thesis statement. Paragraph 3 is going to be point B2 and B4. So that's your first statement about the additional document or course content, plus your facts from the document that support your statement, and finally your reasoning. That's the because that answers the how or the why. The thesis statement is going to be your most important piece of this essay. If you do not create a solid thesis statement or claim, your best possible outcome is a 2-point essay. Now, so a counterpoint paragraph is not required in this essay. So that goes back to some of the ways that you've been taught to write argumentative writing since you were little. You used to always have to address a counterpoint and make it an entire paragraph. For this amended one here, you do not. So it's not required, but it's a really good idea to address it in your thesis statement because it's going to shape your argument. And what I mean by that is that it allows you to know what you're defending. For example, some might say A, but B is better because, okay? You also, from your earlier learning, skip the urge to throw in a hook or some grand introduction or contextualizing information. Nobody cares. This is simply a snapshot of what you have learned in your AP government class. So you need to make sure that you stick to your points, to your claim, and just support it, okay? So don't go with a have you ever wondered or since the beginning of America or anything like that. Just get all of that out of your system, and we're going for straightforward, provide facts, and support it. So your goal in this green box here is to have a thesis statement that addresses both sides of the prompt, clearly rewords the prompt, takes a position, and provides a little bit of reasoning. It can be 1 to 2 sentences. If you need to stretch it out to 3 or 4, that's cool. But again, skip the hooks and the big introductions. We're going straight to the point. So here's what you're going to look at when it comes to an FRQ on your AP exam. Your directions will simply say, respond to all parts of the question. In your response, use substantive examples where appropriate. I recommend now you pause and take a look at this prompt. Be sure that when you're looking at the prompt, you read it very carefully. It's a great idea, guys, to have a lot of paper next to you so you can scratch notes, whatever, as you go. But take a look at this. The highlighted piece says, develop an argument that takes a position on whether the process to amend the United States Constitution should be simplified. So that tells you exactly what you need to do. Now, please note that this prompt doesn't give you any language that gives you a particular time frame. So while the prompt does discuss the framers, it does not only have to be in that time frame. You can discuss their intentions along with contemporary applications, okay? So here's what they're going to do. They're going to give you 3 potential documents. You need to use at least one of those 3. So here your choices are Fed 10, Brutus 1, and Article 5 of the United States Constitution. So you must choose one of those. You could also use 2 of them if you want your second document to be one of those documents, or you can choose one that you feel is a better fit. So you have 25 minutes from start to finish to write this essay. So it is a necessity that you plan out what you're doing because it could be very easy to start writing yourself into a corner. So here's an example of a way to plan. This is not required by any means, and it can look like an awful lot, but it might be a good place to begin. We will make sure that there is a blank copy of this type of chart in your Google Classroom that you can have available to you if you want to just jot down some thoughts. Now, this example takes a look at both options. 1, to make the amendment process easier, and 2, to leave the amendment process alone. Now, if you know exactly what you want to argue, go ahead and just plan only for your argument. But you may want to put that other option in there so you can address your counter in your thesis. Now, again, this is not a required way to plan. It's an example, but I definitely recommend you plan out before you start writing. Hey, look, it's the thesis statement again, which means it is super duper important. Okay, so I'm going to show you another way that you can plan your thesis statement because, again, remember, if you don't have a solid thesis statement, the best you can score is 2 points, which is not awesome. So here is an example of how you might plan out your thesis statement. Again, this is a guideline for some planning. If you're not great at writing thesis statements, you may want to just jot down a couple of things to guide your writing. So this just gives you a suggestion to write out your counterpoint and the reasoning for that counterpoint, then restate the prompt, put your point in, and then your reasoning. It's just a great guide. The beauty of using planning tools like this is you basically wrote your entire thesis statement, and all you have to do when it comes time to write the essay is smooth it out. And here's what it would look like. If you took that outline and turned it into a thesis statement, it would read something like this. Some Americans wish to make amendment process easier because it enables the Constitution to represent the concerns of the people across time as a living document. However, it is wiser to leave the amendment process alone because the present requirements to amend the Constitution make our democracy better able to withstand tyranny of the majority. So here you can see clearly where the prompt has been restated and where they are going with it, and you even have some language from the document to support that claim. Once your thesis statement or claim is set, then you need to write. Your next 2 paragraphs will consist of statements and evidence from the required and additional documents, along with your reasoning for why that evidence supports your thesis. Remember this outline. I'm not going to go through this entire thing paragraph by paragraph because I know you guys all know how to write. But if you take a look at this outline, it shows you the evidence 1, that B1, B3 is coming from Brutus 1. It gives evidence and then the commentary as to why. And then the evidence 2, they chose Article 5 of the Constitution, which was in fact provided in the prompt. So you can easily just use the documents that they provide, but they give their reasons and again, their commentary. Okay, so remember all of these things, pulling these things, planning the outline like this will help you construct a really solid argument with really solid evidence. As you guys turn in your responses to the second FRQ in your homework, you will again receive comments that come back to you to let you know whether you're on the right track or things that would improve it. Of course, if you have questions, please reach out over email or remind, as you go through this process, and you'll receive answers quickly. One more time, thank you to AP Live for letting me lift your stuff. All my examples and resources used in this presentation were from Ms. Hitchcock, who has been working with AP Live to put all this stuff together for you guys to get you ready for an amended AP exam.